Welcome, everybody. It's Sunday again, and we're callers in cars getting a drink. Oh, gotta get my drink. Y'all got your drink? Yeah, yeah, good, good. That's why closer to 5 o'clock, this thing turns into it deteriorates. But I can only drink so much water. This week we've got Michael Braithwaite from Germany, and we're going to find out what makes Michael tick. So, welcome, Michael.
Yeah, welcome everybody. Good to be on the show. Very exciting.
Good. Good. We'll see what your comments are at the end. Okay. So, uh, the only way I know Mickey is through Zoom so far. And listening to him do different talks and put forth his ideas when we're talking about things now. I'm looking forward to the day that I can dance to Mickey live. So, Mickey, are you married?
No. I'm divorced, and this is the status I have, but I'm in happy hands. Yeah.
Okay. That takes care of the next three questions. Okay. When did you start square dancing?
Well, if I would tell now, then you wouldn't believe that I'm 37. So, but no, it was quite at the beginning of the 80s, and I started as a teenager. And as a matter of fact, a school friend of mine, he was doing square dance, and he was always promoting, "Come along with it. It's nice." They all have fancy and dresses on, and they greet you with kisses on the left and right side. And I didn't really care about it, but I was very interesting on country western. I loved the western movies. I loved rodeo. We had Augsburg is a big city where we had 30,000 GIs here. So there's a lot of America, Little America, the commissary, the PX, the festivals they had over here, 4th of July. They had a fair, which they had over here. And one thing they had and started over was a rodeo once a year. And that was the foundation of the Americana, which is the European Championship of the American rodeos. And I used to be there, and they had a demonstration. So I was walking around the rodeo, and in the beer tent, they had a square dance demo. And the girl walked up to me and said, "Hey, Mickey, hi, don't you know me?" And we used to play in the sand as little kids. And the only reply I had was, "Well, what do you look like?" She had a petticoat on and was really, nice looking girl. And I was flashed and said, "What are you doing?" And we're going to have a square dance demo. And I wasn't really interested, right? But I was interested in the girl. So she said, "We're about ready to enter the stage, but we're having lessons tomorrow, Sunday. Just come and stop by and we can talk." Um, so I went and stopped by, and my boyfriend was, not my boyfriend, my school friend, he was there as well. And he was very astonished that I would show up on that Sunday night class night, right? I wasn't there for the class night. I was there for the girl to talk to. Now she was there, and we were just, starting to talk. And before I could see, I was standing in a square, and the rest was history. She was gone after half an hour. I was in the square, and I stood in the class, and yeah, did the class and learned dancing, square dance, plus round dance, clogging. Yeah, very interesting. And the rest is history. Picked up
Oh,
the mic a couple years later.
wow. So, let's go to some really
By the
quick
way,
ones
that
here.
girl
Oh, yeah?
that a couple years showed up again as a attractive lady. She was pregnant, really at the end. Okay, so she walked into the door, and the same reply, and I said, "What do you look like?" And people standing around said, "Very charming, Mickey. Very charming."
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, never seen her since ever then.
Oh man, that's good. Yeah. So most times I ask the question of people to describe themselves in one word. I want you to use two words to
Two
describe yourself. Yeah.
words. You know, funny since this drinking a taxi, this in caller interview started. You know, people from my senior people and other clubs, they walked up and said, we like your singing and the entertaining and your choreo. That's all cool, but it's craft, and we've been knowing you for years. But the most important thing, what we like about you, is that you care, and because you talk with the people, you ask them, how are you, and is there anything which bothers you, and you know I don't know how I do it or how it happens, but I can see a shoelace in the last back row in the square. So I would do a choreo and say, but whatever, boy number four, tie your shoelaces,
Yeah.
and they would look down, and yeah. So I would like to people to be entertained, which is a motto of mine. Yeah, to make them a little bit better into dancing, and to be entertained, but yeah, to care about each other. I like the socializing effect.
Cool.
So yeah, to care would be the two words.
Okay. That's good. So maybe you could relate some of the embarrassing moments because when when you um, when you interact with the floor, sometimes you react and nobody else gets it, and sometimes we put our foot in our mouth. So I'm sure that you you've had some embarrassing moments.
Um, yeah, there were a couple. Now, one which was obvious for everyone to see was that usually I drink water. Coffee is very tough if it's not a break, but at one special dance, I think we had about 20 squares or something. I had a Coke just before that. And I was calling, and started a singing call, and I had to belch. And it came up so strong, I couldn't get the mic away. So it went over the mic, Bob. And everybody just turned around and looked, because then I said, oops, sorry, but that was your singing call. It came out at once. So, but, there was something where you thought, oh my gosh, right? Yeah. Other thing was that, I had to go to the bathroom. So, or was it the dressing? I changed clothes very short time for the Grand March and getting back on stage and whatever. And usually I have a button and a zipper. Okay. Now this was an elegant trousers. So I had a hook, a button, and a zipper. Yeah. So I was used to do two things. Okay. But the zipper, this time it was hook and button. So there was this guy down there, and he was always going, and I thought, what the hell does he want? You know. I mean, he could have told me he was the first square, but he always went. So I guess the first tip then, and another two people walked up and said, "Hey, you're zipper." And what could you say? It was embarrassing, but I always try to make a joke out of it, and it just came spontaneously. I didn't even think about it, and I said, well, it's okay. He's tame, but just to be sure, let's close the cage. Yeah, so.
Oh my.
And
This
another
is
thing which was serious is really that was I was calling with my senior people. I had about 6 to 8 squares down there, and I was calling, and one lady down there, her husband just had passed away, and we always promote that they come back because it's not fun, excitement, whatever. It's a family type thing, and it's recreational, and feel the sociability, feel the group, and feel the comfort with the group. And I realized that that lady, she was starting to cry. I don't know what it was, the dancing or the remembering. And sometimes you call and everything is in a good flow and you got under control and the craft is there, everything's flowing, and you have the energy left to think about things and doing, and man, you feel great about it. And there it comes in another lady. Her husband has died a couple of years ago. She was walking around and I saw her, and while calling, I called her over. So I did some choreo and talked to her while calling and said, hey, take a care about that lady who just lost her husband. Please organize a substitute for her because she's about to probably break down. And she was in tears, and take care of her because she had lost her husband before. And man, did I think I was cool, man. Okay. So I kept calling. She organized the lady for substitute, took her out of the square. And that lady who started to cry looked up and very thankful, said, grateful, thank you that you recognized. So the tip was over. I thought I was the greatest man. I did very well. I know I cared about, and everything went dancing. It was running. All the others having a good time, and you fixed something. After that, the lady who started crying said, it was very nice of kind of you, but never again bring that lady to me. She made it worse.
Oh,
And so there was one thing to get very humble again, to think whatever you think, how great and big you are, there are different approaches and views about a thing. She wasn't mad at me. She just said, it was nice that you recognized it and organized something. But on the other hand, that lady, she was talking and talking about, with the husband and whatever, and she had lost too and made it worse for her. Okay.
oh,
So we always got to be very humble, whatever we do, and no matter how good we think we are. So to me personally, that was embarrassing because I thought, wow. And on
yeah,
the other hand, there are two sides of the coin.
it's amazing. Yeah, you just never know the other side of the story. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how about a tearjerker, sad story?
Well, that was one of the sad stories as well, right? But real sad stories I'll be careful now, um, were the losses of colleagues. Like I was very much calling together with Kenny Reese, um, very popular caller over here. And we've done a lot of dances together and some special dances we did on a regular base, as well in my club and spend weekends. And yeah, worked together in the organization ECTA. And when he passed away, that really hit me. Some singing calls I couldn't do. I was not as close as his buddy Torsten Gebhardt with him, but we had a very close relationship, Kenny and I. Both kind of a native speaking, and uh, we could talk the American type way, even though I'm not Native American, all right? But did after party shows with singing and entertaining and had good fun for a long, long time. And he was one of my when I started dancing, um, there were idols. One combination was Al Stevens and Dave Prescott, and they as a duo combined were just fun to dance. They were my first experience. And a couple of years later, it was Kenny Reese, and combination with Kenny and Torsten Gebhardt. They always inspired, or they were my heroes over here. And of course, then Tony Oxendine and Jerry Story followed. So um, the loss of Kenny was pretty tough, but one with Jerry was another one. He um, was like a brother to me. Um, Even if we haven't met for a long time, there was always a connection. Same with Tony. I remember the first time I walked into the Potter Rodeo on the back door right at the stage, and the dance was going on. I was coming from a long distance drive and just walked in and saw them, and I was in my beginning 20s, right? And we had a long relationship over more than 30 years, and a lot of talks. And and that really hit me. Very tough, as a lot of people, and yeah, big losses, very sad. And sometimes I couldn't do the songs again we've done together. I can now again. It's a how you say credit to those two,
Hmm.
and I realized that sometimes doing songs, and presenting them, I could get very close to Kenny's voice, and was goofing around with him that way, um, and kind of imitating him. And I thought, maybe he's listening now and is being proud, And whenever I do some songs, I, wish that they watch and enjoy.
That's good. You've got to, I guess, you've got to realize that there's also someone looking up to you, the same way as you were looking up to them. So, I guess we need to, while we're here, appreciate that maybe in the future when we're not here, someone saying, "I remember them and they were a good person for us." That's great. So, what are your hobbies? What do you do for, other than calling?
Well, I have a ski week I do once a year, and I like skiing, cross country skiing, and but the downhill is my favorite type thing. I've been skiing all my life. I started skiing with 3 years, so yeah, I've done everything except helicopter skiing. Okay, I've done ski safaris and deep snow skiing. So whenever I'm at a ski week, I enjoy the skiing. I don't have to do every crazy thing. I've done it all. It's all about enjoyment. But I like to be out in the nature. Uh, and yeah, started golfing a couple of years ago. Enjoy that if I have time. Yeah, those are the things. Then yeah, I
Those
like.
are
But I
very
also
good.
enjoy square dancing. It's to me, even though I'm full time, it's not really work. It's just made the hobby. Um, it, it is like Karl Lagerfeld once said, I enjoy what I'm doing. It's not really work to me, even though it is hard work. And to gain and to be successful and to entertain people and be there, you have to work very hard. Yeah, very hard.
So, what do you do to get ready for a special?
Sleep, breakfast.
Okay, and then
You
then
know,
the car, everything else falls into your head on the spot, right?
well, you know, so you build up a repertoire, but it is you have to build your tips, your themes, um, different levels. It varies. What type of dance you call. If it's a club night, I usually, if I call for a club every week, you got to find something where you all over the year set some peaks and see that the programs and the workshop with the certain calls are interesting over the whole year. Um, Try to have a peak over months, and then the club night with some peaks in there, and yeah, and sometimes I have certain singing calls coming in, and I use them for a certain period of time, and of course I use the classics, but um, sometimes I can use one or two singing calls at certain club nights for 2, 3, 4, 5 weeks because they're just came in because I like them, dancers like it, and I don't really track. I've done this song last week. I wouldn't do it next week, and maybe next year or whatever again. No, it's just like in the radio. Yeah, whenever things come in, they're being played, and then you have classic ones which come over or special requests. And I try to call every call within a program, within a in a program point, or in a club night or a dance. Uh, if it's only 1 hour of, let's say, A1 or A2, then you briefly touch them. Maybe you can send one highlight, but try to call every call in that session. If that session lasts 2 or 3 hours, you can get more intense.
So when you're on the road, calling away from home for a number of days or nights, um, do you have several different programs to pull from in a way so that uh, if dancers travel from one club to the next, they're not getting a carbon copy of last night's dance?
Yeah, it always, because I always more or less kind of react to the dancer, like with the entertaining. Some things happen, and you communicate with the dancers, and that is never the same. And you cannot push it. You call, you entertain, then you got to react and spontaneously. And but as I said, some songs may be the same one I did the night before, but they may be presented differently, and the choreo is different. It's
Mm-hmm.
not the same choreo, right? That comes spontaneously. Whatever I feel the crowd is yeah. In what is the need for the crowd, and you have workshop, then whether you want to play that theme in that singing call or if you want to do something just to relax. Okay, so that decision is mostly like I do spontaneously, unless there's something very special. Then it may be like on certain songs I'm working with hi-hat records now, and certain instrumentalizations, certain choreo works um, uh, with the music very well. It's just like on El Paso City, you would hardly change the figure. Okay, that's a classic time one.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. So, coffee or tea?
Depends. In the morning, I want to go for tea, but after that, I drink is water, 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 water. That's what it says on the bottle.
That's yeah. If it's not the first ingredient, you do have to wonder. Uh, so, how many years have you been calling, Mickey?
Well, I started calling, picked up the mic around 85. Um, that was we had an amateur night. I was running to the bathroom 2 weeks before that night, and probably at that night every hour, because I was so excited and yeah. And I didn't really want to call it. It was just two singing calls practiced, and I did that, and then there was a jamboree, and I did a singing call and a pattern, and yeah, and I got the black badge from ECTA. It was kind of thing you would get, and I think a year later I became active member, and I didn't really plan to call. So, but that was the first steps and calling. Sometimes when I got to a club, it was one tip I called, pattern in a singing call or two singing calls, and I probably had 4 or 5 singing calls in my repertoire. And when I called that white batch test, you had to teach something, do a pattern, do a singing call, and resolve the square. Jim Harrington at that time was ECTA president, and I got standing ovation for "So in Love with You" singing call. And he said to someone, he's going to be a big one, but I never wanted to become a caller. It was fun, and I was back there. I was in a group with teenagers, and we were having fun and dancing together, and we're goofing around and just having a good time. And they said, "Come on, do it, do it, do it." And at that jamboree on Sunday morning, I guess it was, they always had a spot from callers from the floor, new voices. You could do a tip. So I did, and dancers from Belgium walked up and said, "We would like to hire you for a special dance." And as that, all I know is
Wow.
4 singing calls, 5 singing calls, and I got 2 pattern records, and that no way, right? I could do a special dance, and so I was in my group, and they were just pain in the whatever, and they're just saying, "Nah, he's just playing hard to get. He can do that," and and the more I said no, the more they were pushing and pushing, and the other said, "Okay." I said, "We can work out the contract." And I was looking at the end of that dance, jamboree. I had a contract, and I never did know how I'm going to run that dance. So I had 1 year time, and started, doing singing calls and preparing a workshop, and
Wow.
yeah, everything went fine and cool.
Yeah.
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 And they couldn't, pay us okay. And they had a big picture of the park dance, was the name of the dance, and it was drawn, and I liked it very much, and it looked very similar to the flyer. And I asked whether I could have that picture, and it was done by an artist. And they were talking to each other, the board, and said, "Yeah, of course, if that's okay with you." And it's still in my office,
Oh, neat.
and with the flyer next to it. Yeah, it was my first dance.
Wow. That's interesting. What were you going to do before you got sidetracked into calling?
But I was just going the normal way. I was going to school, the German gymnasium, which is something between high school and college. I would guess, secondary type school. Um, I was in the army, and for about 15 months we had to go in Germany over here. I was ready to study. I was studying law, and I did some studying with economics, and I was working part time the studies with Emma and Roland, which is a printing uh, machine producer, and at that time one of the biggest ones in the market, always concurring with the American Goss type system or with the Heidelberg Web, and very successful. And I was in the sales department, spent some time in the justice department there, and but the most of the time I was in the sales department and had contact with customers, especially from Far East and from Southern America. And yeah, I was 2 days there, and yeah, made money to yeah, take care of my studies, and yeah, and then but the entertainment came more and more in square dancing. So then after a couple of years, I had to make the decision either to stop the one or the other, and then after you retire, go back,
Hmm.
do whatever it's done. So maybe if I retire now, I become a lawyer. I don't know.
We need some good lawyers in the calling activity. That's for sure. Um, have you ever heard of anybody being sued as a caller?
Mm, I've heard there were some things they had tax problems or whatever, but not really in the action. I know there was a big thing and a big discussion. I remember when talking with Tony and Jerry about the copying of music, and they said that they were going after it because it was really hurting the activity and the music producers when the minidisc type thing came up. But I haven't heard anything specialized about any colleagues, so no.
Yeah, that's good. I was always worried that some tax guy was going to walk on stage and they were going to cuff me and take me away. Um, Obviously, it didn't happen. Well, crossing the border between the U.S. and Canada, there's certain rules you're supposed to abide by, and some of us didn't always abide by them. We thought we did, though. We intended to, in case anybody's listening. Um, so let's see.
Well, we had some problems over here regarding BMI and ASCAP, which is schema. So I was always
Yeah.
very, very how you call it, picky about having everything safe with the taxes and with GEMA, and yeah, I didn't risk anything. That's the thing you really have to take care of.
Yeah, I think that's something we really need to make sure new callers are aware of. Um,
Oh yeah.
so if you're going to write an autobiography, what would be the title? You can't use some of them; they've already been used. Just another caller can't do that. I think. What would the title of your book be?
Jeez, that's tough. I'm too young to think about autobiography. So the 37, no, no, that's you know,
no cigar.
when I made the decision to go full time over here in Europe, Central, a lot of we had a lot of callers who were earning their money with it, but they had a job before. They were in the army, they retired. Um, I don't know, did some extra jobs or whatever. Um, that has nothing to say with the quality, But if you do it full time, and everybody thought I was crazy, and they thought, I'd be starving, but I thought it was just like a craft. If you're willing to work and hard work, you can make a living. You may not become a millionaire, or whatever. Um, but maybe the title would be, yeah, I don't know, a different life or whatever, or something like that. Different. Maybe it would be just like squared in. Yeah, a different life. I like the lifestyle with square dancing. I like when I sing. It has changed, but the last dances I were, which was in Heidenheim and the Jamboree and the dance last night again, I felt a bit that it is coming back. It felt like 40 years ago. And I talked to people who have been there 40 and 50 years ago. And they said, you know what, those dances, and we've been there and talked about it. It's just like in the old times. And I guess in the old times, it's a socializing type thing, not a technical type thing and moving the body. But I think the socializing type thing and the family type thing is what kept me in the activity. Um, yeah. And maybe something like that, a different life.
Yeah.
Regarding to that, it is not normal over here in Germany or Europe to have such a job as a full-time job. I guess it's something very different. It may be different in the States because the activity is bigger and was larger and bigger. But over here it is, totally different. Yeah. I know that,
Yeah.
my family, my uncle was a lawyer, and my aunt thought that, I'd be stepping into the company. And one day I had annual dancing for a week, and I took my mom with me one there, and my aunt. And when she realized what I was doing, she said to my mom, she told me later, I think that's the right thing for him, and I think we don't have to worry about him. That's a nice thing what he's doing. Okay, working with the senior people and entertaining, and it's a real tough job, and he's earning money and can take care of himself. And my mom said, "Well, I always knew that, you know." Um, and Yeah, she couldn't support because she had a hard time with two kids and taking care of life, But she would never restrict me. But whatever decision I had to make, and I had to make sure that I could carry
Hmm.
it. And yeah, so I grew up very fast and very strong. And yeah, whatever decisions you make, you have to carry the consequences. It's just like in real life.
Yes. Yes. Ah, it kind of brings to mind so many memories. I hope it does for all the people watching. Uh, how it impacts their life. And what's interesting to me, Mickey, is the difference, as you say, between say Europe, calling in Europe, as opposed to calling in say the States. Even between the States and Canada, there's a big difference, of course, because of the distances. Um, I think because you have, to me, it sounds or it seems like when I was there, each dance was kind of close to the last dance, so didn't have to travel as much to do extra dates. In the States, it's pretty much like that. There's used to be anyhow. Pretty much every city, every village had a square club, uh, and as you say, it does seem like it's getting back, which is nice. Uh, And and it's colors like you that help to bring it back to that what it used to be. The socializing, it's yes, the choreography is fun, uh, but it has its place. Advanced challenge, whatever. But for a typical club dance, I think the way you present it, that's why, you know, uh, are you coming over to the States or to Canada? I'm looking so I don't have to travel
Well,
so far to dance to you, you see.
well, I'm still taking invitations to Canada. I haven't been to Canada, but I'm coming over to the States again around the convention in Reno. So I'll
Oh,
be in Chicago
in
just a
April?
couple of days before that. Yeah,
Oh,
I'll be in
yeah.
Chicago just a week before convention, going down to Tucson doing a dance there, going up to Reno, and then I'll be down in San Francisco doing some dances in the Bay Area.
Great.
Yeah,
Great.
that's the plan for this.
Well, watch out the window because I'll be traveling at that time of the kind of past Reno to get to Canada. We do have a
Okay,
national.
cool.
Pardon? Yeah, we do have a national coming up
Yeah,
in
that's good.
Canada in 2024. I'll send you an application. And since I'm in charge of program, I'll give you some really good spots. Um, so, childhood memories. Got any special childhood memories?
Yeah, well, my grandparents, when I was a kid up to teenager, every holidays, whenever we had vacation, we would spend with the grandparents. That gave the parents time to work and don't worry about the kids. And almost every weekend we were with the grandparents. So I have a very strong relationship with my grandparents, and I was on the grew up in the city, but on the other hand, I also grew up on the countryside, and we were, just running around the fields and jumping over the creeks and doing all kind of crazy stuff kids do. And some things were dangerous, some things we made sure that the grown ones did not know. We were just kids, so and we're going with a dog. Sometimes it's like a movie or whatever. Thinking back, I very much enjoyed school time, very much. Yeah,
Oh, that's good.
it was always, kind of a structured. I like the structure and family type thing in groups. I always felt comfy with that,
That's good.
and I guess that's one thing which kept me in the square dance activity. And another thing is, and the same thing, I have that philosophy in my groups, and not that I promoted that, but it's just we're living it. And when making the decision to go full time, what I never wanted is to travel just from one town and going over and over and being on the road for weeks and weeks and weeks. I always wanted to sleep at home in my bed, I call, and I built up over the years. And the special dances on weekends or whatever, I usually travel there and come back. So it's very hardly that I do tours. And to me, that's the top of the cream on top of the cake, right? Those special dances. But my daily work, I very much enjoy because I just go out of the house and come back, and I do what I love most: working with music, working with people, and having a great time, and with the choreo to entertain. And to some people, especially the senior people, some of them dance 2 or 3 times a week to me. It is very important. I mean, we've got now 3 90-year-old people. You would not tell that they're 90. They've been dancing for 25 years with me and enjoy. It's very nice, really familiar type thing, and close friends, and you become part of a one type thing, and that's what I like. That's what I like, and yeah.
Let's go to a poll question here. I'm going to put up the one that you sent me. Whoops, where is it? Oh, by golly. Well, I thought I had given this a title. Oh, yeah, here we are. Okay, I'm going to launch this particular one. Now, this is two truths and a lie. And what we're going to do is pick out which one of these things is the lie. Okay? Can you all see that okay? Okay. Yeah, so we've got Mickey was at a party with Naomi Campbell, Helena Christensen, Cindy Crawford, a whole lot of people. Or Mickey staying in his hometown to thousands of people presenting Elvis songs. I'm assuming that he sent me the right question there. Not presenting Elf songs, that's Elvis songs, okay? And thirdly, Mickey owned a white Cadillac stretch limousine. Okay. Looks like we got, let's see, 67. Oops, we're changing it. Yeah, okay. So it looks like most people think that you didn't own that Cadillac. Okay, I'm going to end the poll so we can see the results. And here's the results. I'm going to put that down a little bit. Okay, well, that's what it looks like, Mickey. I guess we should find out what the deal is. Let's go with the truths
The
first.
truth. Well, the truth is that I was on vacation in Paris. And when I was on holidays, I used to wear something like a white sports coat jeans jacket and trousers. And I had my camera with me, a big bag, and how you call it, stative, where you put the camera on to make pictures. And I was walking around, and we're hitting back towards the hotel close to the Place de République, and we passed some backyard type things, and there was strange lightning, and there were people standing outside, and they thought I was a photographer, and they waked me in. So we went in there, and it was strange. It was a site, just like an industrial site type thing, but it was like in a James Bond movie. I mean, there were curtains from the ceiling hanging down. There was music. There was all kind of atmosphere, and they just swinged us in, and we walked in there, and they came with drinks, with champagne and everything, and I thought, that's crazy. They offered little, they were running around with snacks, and you could just pick it from whatever day, and that was like in a James Bond movie. Everything was just perfect, styled and everything. And I thought, darn, we're here, and they're probably going to charge us a fortune or whatever. I better go out. And the lady I was there with at the time said, "No, no, come on, let's stay. That's cool. That's cool." And we walked around, and I saw a ticket, an entrance ticket, and then it was just laying there. And I said, "Okay, come on, let's take it in the program." So we were in, and we said, just for safety reasons, whatever. And we were walking around, and I had a sign. There was this guy there with a beard and whatever, and it was Peter Lindbergh. He was one of the most famous photographers. He passed away, I think, 4 years ago in Paris, and he was, I think, New York, Paris, and somewhere else he was doing, and he has photographed the most famous people, and that was the presentation of his book, the 10 ladies, most popular fashion ladies of Peter Lindbergh, and they were all the top models at that time. If you take a look at the names, they all were there.
Wow.
They all were there. We were just walking around the people, everybody walking around, having a good time, some drunk and going home. And, we were eating all that stuff. And it was so fine, it was crabs and whatever, and seafood and stuff like that. And then they had an ice cream made on roses. And we tasted everything. And I didn't like the rose with ice cream. It just tasted like eating soap or whatever. And I just said to myself, I got you don't have to try everything, Mickey, but but that's a true story, and it was funny. And we left. It was just an experience. Yeah, I still have that autograph there, and yeah, they were all there. It was just like I know Claudia Schiffer as a German. I know Naomi Campbell from her, how you say it, from her headlines in the newspaper about
So did you
and
exchange phone numbers or?
and Cindy Grover, hell no. I mean, I was lucky not to get, that they said, "Who are you?" and whatever. But they were all it was all polite. They were all cool, and they all thought, I don't know.
Ah,
I'm the one playing Peter Lindbergh's camera or whatever. So that's a true story. Yeah. That in Augsburg they have a carnival type thing, and I was doing entertainment and was with the carnival team, and yeah, we're thousands of people on the main city hall place, and yeah, this was an open air, and I was doing some songs there. And at that time, I was pretty popular in the city doing magic and all kinds of entertainment and like a talk master. I would run through different shows, do some magic, singing, and with the square dancing, of course. And whenever I got to those events, I had a deal, one, and I was living, in an apartment where I grew up, right? So nothing special, and normal, ordinary people, workers, and one day that stretch limousine stopped in front of my house. There was a chauffeur. He opened the door. Bodyguard got out, and I came out, and I only carried my stuff to the door and the closing, and the bodyguard picked it up, and the chauffeur opened the door. I got in there, and people just got crazy about it. Wow, or whatever. So whenever I went to those shows, I had a deal. I had autograph cards with me on there, and the backside it said, "And he drives limousines like the American president with sunshine cars." And that was the one they rented those cars. Yeah. So in that time, very often, whenever I had a car and had to go to one of those gigs, I was always picked up by the stretch limousine. So people thought I would own it, right? So because they knew then that I was doing shows and stuff like that. So it is a lie that I owned it. Yeah, but I was very often picked up, and yeah, it was fun. It was a time. It was fun, but nothing necessary for life.
yeah. Okay. Well, now you dad have one that you can. What Mickey will do is he'll give us the three uh, questions or the two truths and one lie, and by a show of hands we'll do what we think is the lie. Okay. So I guess first off, Mickey, why don't you go ahead and give us the three statements?
Okay, I was championship in a basketball team at the state championship in Bavaria. But maybe you should wait for the voting till you know the rest, because you don't know what's coming.
It could be something
Yeah.
worse.
Right. I called at the highest level at all time worldwide. And the third one would be I did magic in the famous Lido in Paris.
Okay. So you got that, right? So who thinks the lie is the first one? The basketball player. That's one, two, three. Three people think that's a lie. Okay. And who thinks that? What was the second one? Um,
The calling at the highest level.
call it the highest level in the world ever. How many think that's a lie? Okay, only got two. Okay, and the third one was doing magic in Paris. How many think that's a lie? Just one. Well, based on what Mickey's rest of the interview was, he does magic, so that could well be true. And the basketball one could be true. The second one about the highest level calling could be because he might have called like from the Himalaya mountains or something. That's the highest level. We have to watch out how the wording went there. So give us a rundown there. Give us the two truths first.
Okay, the two first truths is I did call at the Zugspitze. The Zugspitze promenaders, they're hosting a dance every 5 years. And it's for about 250 dancers. It's limited because it's on top of the Zugspitze. It's the highest mountain in Germany, and it's about 9,000 feet, a little bit above 9,000 feet. So I don't know if Mount Hendley is higher, but I don't think any special dance or dance is at a higher location. I'm not sure. Okay. So therefore, I think this is the highest level at which I have called. It was mainstream and plus. So at that level. And dancers going up there, they really need to go up there by morning. And also with the calling, you got to be careful. It's different calling fisherman's luck up there than down there. And for the dancers, you got to be careful that, reduce the speed a little bit because it's really tough. Going from, it's about 600 meters up to almost 3,000 meters, right? So that's pretty tough. And yeah, good. A nice thing about the specialists, there is one day in November usually when they open up for registration, and the dance after 10 minutes is sold out.
Wow.
All the club members, and it's expensive because it's the cable car going up there. It's the meal included. We're talking about $120, $130, but it's just like that. All the club members have their spot on the dance, and you wouldn't believe how many people request to become club members in that year when that event is, because it's only every 5 years. It's very much organizing. And the nice thing is that after 6 o'clock, 1800, you're all alone with the group up there. There's no tourists, no nothing, because they take the last cable car down. And the last ride down is a train going up there. Not almost up there. We have to take a little cable car down, and that's where it limits the dance, because only 250 people can get into that train going down. Otherwise, you would stay up in the mountain. So, and when you're up there all by yourself and you have the sunset, it's just marvelous. And it's all glasses around there. And we've had it it's a summer dance in the middle of June. And when we had, one time we had to dance, it was up there, people right across where the cross is, there was snow, I think about, 10, 12 feet high. And they were having a bivouac. They were staying there. It was just like on Mount Everest. We were inside warm dancing, and they were out there on the outside. And it goes down just, 90-degree falling down if ever you make a mistake. So that's really in the mountains, really up there.
Wow.
So that's a true story. The other true story is I was with MA in Roland, and with that I had the honor to take especially Japanese people on tours all over Europe to visit printing factories where we had machines from MA in Roland. And one was in Paris. So we were in Paris, and there was an alternative program, and one was to be at the Lido. Now, before they started the show at the Lido, we had meal in the Lido, and it was kind of a tourist type thing, and they had a nice band playing, but some people were out there dancing. But the Japanese guy didn't really care for dancing and the music, and they were all tired. So they started to fall asleep before the show came. And I thought, that is not so good for the group. So I picked out some of my magic stuff I had with me and started doing some magic from one table to the other. for my Japanese guy. The people from the Lido walked up and said, what I was doing there, and the waitress and whatever. So I really was doing some magic, table hopping there and entertaining Japanese people, and they liked it. So that was the thing they really liked, and they kept them awake till the show started. Uh, and then afterwards, we got to get some real food at a Chinese restaurant. That was funny. Yeah. So that's a true story. I was booked, but I did. And the manager came and said, "Okay, that's cool," and whatever. What is he doing there with all the people? And I was in charge of the group anyway, so yeah, I was doing some magic at the famous Lido. Um, yeah, basketball. I was in a basketball team called the Minis when I was, I don't think, 10 or 12 years old. And yes, we were in the championship, but we did not win it. And I guess that's the thing where I have probably
Oh, so we're off, Rose.
because we lost at that stage. It's girls and boy teams, I mean games, but they would all play in the contest against each other, and we lost. Now, Hannah, I don't want you to laugh, okay? We lost against the ladies' team, the girls. They just whipped our butt, man. Okay, so and and same thing with a ski race when I made second place when as a kid. Yeah, it was a girl who won, so I don't know.
Ah,
Came in
yeah.
second place, so that was a lie. We didn't make the championship. We made second place.
A lot of women involved in your life there, Mickey. Especially the one that
No,
got you into square dancing. That was like frosting on the cake, I guess. That's super. I guess the last question then would be before I open it up to anybody else. If you could be remembered for one thing, what would it be?
well, I guess the care thing is another one. He cared, but we had fun, friendship, but also, he cared was a team. And my philosophy is to make the dancers better and entertain them. And on the other hand, to some people they have a hard life, whatever, family problems, health problems, in the work, and a lot of things around. And if we can give them something where they come and enjoy and forget everything because of the concentrating part in square dancing, and they have fun. And for the next 3 days, they think, wow, that was so cool. And I can't wait the next Monday, Tuesday, whatever to come. Then we have something which is not only for those 2 hours, but it will carry another 3 days. And if then one day is there, when they realize, okay, this is my life, and the next 3 days they say, oh, now I can't wait for the next 3 days to pass on and to come back to dancing, meet the people, and enjoy the dancing, the entertainment, the music, whatever, the dancing, the recreation type thing. I think if we can achieve that goal and make people happier and give them something, I think, yeah, if I can achieve that, that would be nice. If people recognize that it was an important part to them to make their life better, happier.
Yeah, super, very good. Anybody got any questions they want to ask Mickey? Oh, one I had. It's either Michael Braithwaite or Mickey. Why do we not do Mickey Braithwaite?
Because I'm not Mickey Braithwaite. Um, I remember once Kenny said Mickey Braithwaite. It sounds like working in a special house. No, now it's Michael Braithwaite, but since everybody calls me Mickey, um, I gotta put it in brackets. So it's either Mickey, and I in Square Dance everybody calls me Mickey, but when being on tour or putting the name there or the official, it's Michael Braithwaite. So and I had things in the first 10 years when they had Mickey on the flyer, and the other day they had Michael Braithwaite there, right? So, and I had an occasion that a dancer came to one of my clubs, and they were hosting a special a couple of weeks later, and the guest showed up and said, "Well, your color is very good, Mickey. I enjoyed the evening, but and you have really good colors on your special, yeah. I know Kenny Reese. I've danced to him, and Michael Braithwaite. He's a good one. He sounds good because I've got his CD." And the president just cracked up laughing. And he said, "What's the matter?" He said, "You've been dancing all night to him." He said, "Yeah, Mickey." "Yeah, but that is Michael Braithwaite." So that's what I thought about it. And it happened a couple of times when I thought, you got to put that
Yeah.
somehow correct, because people thought, I thought you're Mickey. And the other go, "No, you're Michael Braithwaite." So, yeah. Just like Tony last week, right? When you said Michael,
Yeah.
and then he heard my voice and he said, "Oh, Michael, that's Mickey."
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. So, yeah, when he realized. So I was put it in brackets, either the one or the other. Right.
Oh, okay. Stephen has a question for you. Go ahead.
Go on,
You
Steven.
said you got into clogging. Or do you still clog at all?
No, not anymore.
Yeah.
Funny thing is that I very, very fast had a connection to all the top guys at that time, which was Chaparral, all the callers there, Gary Shoemake and Ken Bauer and whatever was on the program, and to the rhythm guys, and then of course to Royal. First of all, because using the records, and there were some bonds there, even I've never met them before. I grew up in a house where there was a guy, to make a long story short, he got divorced and he had contact with the girl, which got divorced, and she was from Houston, Texas. And he's known me as a kid, from kindergarten up. And when I was calling at this at the club I grew up, my weekly tip, right? He walked in and said, "Hey, Mickey, what are you doing here?" And I said, "Garen, what are you doing here?" And he said, "Well, I have to learn square dance because I met that we were in contact, that lady, and now we're getting married, and she's in Houston, and and I have to learn square dance." And it got to know that I don't know whether you know her, but her name was Becky Gray, and I think she even was the president of the Frontier Squares in Houston, Texas. And club callers there were in regular going on. There was Wade Driver, Bob Beyer, Pat Barber, all those names. And she moved over to Germany for a couple of years. And she was on a tour and exhibition group with Wade Driver, doing clocking. And they were just flying somewhere, and he was doing the singing and calling, and they did the dancing clocking wise, or the square dance motion with clocking. And he was calling. And she was our teacher when she came over. So when she went back to the States, and we briefly have contact, once in a while, then I stopped clocking, and there was too much going on with square dance and the calling action. But when Wade Driver was over here, he was one of the last big heroes and living legends I have to call with. And we did a dance together with Mike Seastrom and Wade. I called her up and said, "You wouldn't guess what I'm called today." And she said, "No, tell me." That was Wade, yeah. And was very much enjoyed. And one of the first callers came over, and I was a dancer and just doing a couple of singing calls, was Bob Beyer visiting Bavaria and stopping by our club. And I did some singing calls. And I'd like to see him when I get down to Texas next year. And yeah, he had a joke which I tell regularly about Mrs. Bertolucci, and so that is burned in my mind. Yeah.
So when are you going to be in Texas next year?
Well, it's going to be around the Color Lab convention again. I think it's in Dallas and Grapevine, and then I try to work something around, if possible, in a couple of states around, because I want to make all 50 states one someday.
Yeah.
And combining that. But yeah, so next year around, I guess it's March.
Okay.
Around that time.
Good.
I'll let
Anybody
you know
else?
ahead of time.
Anybody else got a question for Mickey? Oh, Hannah?
So hi, Mickey.
Hi, Tim.
I'm asking for a friend.
Yeah.
How many how many countries have you been calling in?
Okay, I've been all over Europe except for Norway. Yeah. I've called in Croatia. I was the first one down there as well. I had a couple tour groups going down. I was doing dances in Italy, even visiting the pizza ponies when they were still existing in the Lago Maggiore. Yeah, I've been all over Europe, and in the States, I have probably about now 11. And I've been to Japan for a tour, which was very exciting. Yeah, yeah. And I do know some of the sightseeing tours as well. I did not only see the halls, but I know very many halls. Yeah.
Okay. Don? Yeah.
I just wanted to say hi, Mickey. We sort of met, 40 years ago or something like that first. It was
Now,
a while.
Don, you should not have told. I told everybody I was 37.
I knew his mother. I don't remember how many years ago it was, Mickey, but it was quite
Yeah.
a while ago.
Dig yourself out now while you can.
You talk, Joe. You talking to me or to Mickey?
Oh, I'm talking to you. I'm going with Mickey's 37. I like that.
Hey,
Yeah,
Mickey,
and
we met
that's a tough
37
job.
years ago. We met 37 years ago, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I always say, it's pretty tough to keep those 37 for 20 years now, and can't believe how time passes on. It's just crazy. Yeah, I remember with Don, and it was very exciting, and it was very a thing which is also burned in my heart and in my brain was the color school with Al Stevens and Don Beck at the Lockmühle. It was my first color school. So whenever I go somewhere and people like it, I say, give the credit to Al and Don. And if you don't like it, I can give you the address. And I've been to many color schools, and I met Jim Mayo and a lot of other big coaches. And it was always interesting. And it was interesting to change the side of the table, as Jerry once said to me, about time for you to change the side of the table to become a coach. And yeah, still I am there and learning from those big names and coaches, and in all honesty. And sometimes it feels so strange to being as a coach as well. Yeah, and grown up to be there, and that happens so many times. You were admiring your idols, and then you were on stage, just like with Al Stevens, right? He was one of my big idols when I started dancing, Dave Prescott, and as I said before, as a couple of years later, you were on stage with him and enjoyed the calling, and we had fun whenever we had the chance to call with each other, and that happened very fast. And sometimes I thought too fast, because that I'd like to grow up a little bit slower into it, but dancers enjoyed it, the colleagues enjoyed it, and it was really, and still is, a fun experience to meet all those big names, fantastic persons, and work together with them. And that was a big thing when the first time I showed up at Color Lab last year, knowing them all from stories and using the records and stuff like that, and then meeting them in person, and that was really a boost to me again, and it's really a very nice activity. Yeah, gotta tell. Yeah, thank you, Don.
I've been wondering where all those anonymous letters were coming from.
I guess I have to think over my program.
Oh,
Did they
man.
come from different countries also?
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
In fact, every country in Europe except Finland, right?
Yeah,
Except Norway. Except
Norway, yeah.
Norway.
Sorry, I forgot. Told you my memory wasn't that good.
Yeah, Joe.
Yes. Go ahead.
You said you haven't. You said you haven't called in Norway. When did you call in Finland?
No, I haven't called in Finland. That was I don't know
You
that
said you had
complaint
called
letter.
everywhere. You know we have 2 clubs in Finland.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you know my email address. I'm looking for invitation. I'll be sure.
Maybe we could one.
I didn't know that. Where in Finland are you?
I'm on the small island of Åland, the Åland Island, Ålandinseln, which is halfway between Finland and Sweden. And the other club is in the Helsinki area, just north of the capital. But we are part of the Swedish association, so we kind of belong to Sweden. And but we're in Finland. We speak
That's
Swedish
interesting.
Here. Yeah,
And maybe for security reasons, I'm going to wait till you're all the way in NATO, right?
that's gonna be soon, sooner for us than for Sweden.
That's awful.
Mickey, you can hire a female wrestling group to be your bodyguards.
Do you know some of those, Hannah? Some of those ladies? Yeah, you might. What is your stage name when you're wrestling? Yeah, she ain't gonna tell us.
It's a secret.
Yes. I want to move Hannah earlier onto this schedule here. I don't have her down till October. That's too long.
That's a lot of time to write some questions down for a friend.
Yes. No, she'll probably get hired in Finland so that she can say, "Ha ha, Mickey, I've called in Finland." Yeah.
Yeah, then you'll be very close to Sweden.
Yes.
I've been in Sweden a couple of times, down to Bodabaden or at Örebro. I did a dance with Anders Blom. Yeah, another sad story that he had passed away. Right.
Yeah.
Well, folks, I think we're kind of winding down here, so we'll say thanks to Mickey for a great interview. Hope you found out a little bit more about what makes Mickey tick. That's not his name, Mickey Tick. It's what makes him tick. So thanks, folks.
Yeah, I'd like to say thank you for Joe. I feel very honored and to be invited to this very special group of callers you have asked so far and are coming in the future. So thanks a lot for the invitation.